I'm Melissa Chartrand. I'm here with Michael Magyar. We're over at Barnstable Municipal Airport. Michael is one of the many artists featured whose works have been selected to be displayed here through September. Michael, thank you so much for meeting here today.
Well, thank you, Melissa. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Eventually, we'll take a field trip and we'll come to your studio, which is on Route 6A in Sandwich.
Yes.
And let's talk about glass blowing. Is this something, is this something you've always done?
No, actually, I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Sculpture and Ceramics.
Okay.
And it was my junior year that I took off and went to Japan to study wood fire kilns as a potter. And the year I was away, the ceramics studio built a little furnace in the kiln shed. And I came back after a year, and there it was, and fell in love with it. And pottery and blowing are very similar in technique and movement. So it was an easy transition, going from the potter's wheel to the bench.
Interesting.
And just fell in love with it. And we started the studio on the Cape over 20 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So it's gone by fast.
It really has. And you go, you make things, as your beautiful pin here,
oh, yeah.
from very small to extremely large.
Yeah, well, it's fun. I mean, it's always it's always a kind of a battle. What wars you want to fight, kind of, and what projects you want to take on, and it's always a time constraint and what you need to do. So
sure.
It's being an artist is never the same. Every year is going to be a little different, and you have to keep it alive. Otherwise, it becomes very mundane. And I know 3 glass artists on the Cape that folded because they just got burnt out doing the same thing repetitively over and over, and it became very boring and non-excitement. So you have to be careful.
Right. Now, what inspires you then? Because obviously you've been a great success at it, and as you say, you're always coming up with new ideas, new products. What inspires you to do that?
Oh gosh, it's endless. I mean, my list is long, and some things get pushed to the back, and and then a year later, 2 years later, you're like, oh, you pull those ideas back out,
right.
And then you put something else on hold. So it's always a juggling act of trying to run a production studio and also make sculpture and art.
Sure.
And
let's talk. That leads us to this beautiful piece, Midnight Storm Dance. Tell us about this piece.
Well, it's a lot with water, under the water, and the storm. And this is cast concrete, cast glass, and this is hot work glass, where I pulled the cane, stuck them in this hot cast, picked it up on a pipe, and then got it hot again and manipulated the little fingers here. But this also lights up. I'm not sure, in the daylight you can't really see it, but at night
it's spectacular.
It glows.
Yes.
And that whole idea was bringing back that lost energy.
Okay.
That when you make glass, it's emitting light. I mean, it's bright. And then you cool it in the ovens and you bring them back out, and sometimes I felt like they lost something. So I reintroduced light back into my sculptures. I mostly do almost all light sculptures now, as well as a lot of hanging pendants and lighting. But this is really, I tell people I hate making this.
Why?
And I love blowing glass.
Okay.
But when I'm done blowing glass, like 95% are seconds, because there's always something I can look and say, yeah, that should have been a little higher, should have been a little wider, I'll make another one, or something like that. Where this is, you get a great idea, let's say, and then it's process. Making the molds, casting the concrete, forming the steel molds, and then bringing it all together. And the hardest thing with light sculpture is, how do you change the light bulb?
Right, I was just going to ask, so it's a light sculpture, whereas, and I can see the light, of course, our cameras won't be able to, we'll hopefully have a picture of it glowing, but how do you do that?
This is an easy one. This is just, the top just removes.
Look at that.
So this is purely interior,
okay.
Where other ones I've sealed and you go from the bottom. But when I'm done with a piece of sculpture, I can look at it every day and I love it. It's like it's never old. They're like my children sometimes.
Right.
When I sell one, it's like, gee, I don't get to look at it. I mean,
right.
That's what I do. I make things to sell. I mean, that's what artists do, and that's how we have to survive. And I sell a piece of glass, and sometimes I feel guilty. It's like,
right.
Wow, you just spent that much on that piece.
Thank you. What's fascinating to me is, as you said, there's several different processes. The way you made the base is different than how you did the top part here. And was this type of piece? How long would this take you to do?
So often I'll do sculptures in weeks and months. Period.
Okay.
So they're like I blow a piece of glass, an hour, a half hour, it's done. Okay, where this, you know, you sandblast it, you etch it, you make the wood mold. This takes a week to cure, and then you manipulate, you know, you carve it out, and you have a lot of time to adjust this,
right,
to make it, you know, better, or, you know, and that was one of the things I learned. You know, it's really hard to say, okay, this was my original idea, but no, it's not working.
Right.
So you change something, and it's hard, but.
Now, did you come up with the name first, or you come up with the piece first and then put it together?
Sometimes I'll design the piece, and it'll be a name and everything.
Right.
Other times, I'll be working on several pieces at one time. So some are curing, some need to be, you know, glued or epoxy, some need to be reworked or ground and polished. So you have a lot of time, and a lot of times the names just will come out of the piece. Other times, it's exactly what I want. Like the other one, the hot house.
Yes, let's take a look at the hot house.
It was like a house, and I knew what it was. It's a glass house, you know.
Okay.
And I got my Master's of Fine Arts in New Orleans, Tulane University. So people think it's hot here in the summer.
That's not.
It's
they have
New
no
Orleans.
idea. Right?
So that's how that piece kind of generated.
And isn't that fitting that you're a glass blower?
Yeah, I love it here.
That's another version of a hot house, right?
Yes.
Now, at your studio, people can come and take a look and see how you work.
Yes, and see, right now we're open every day but Tuesday.
Okay.
And we're blowing glass Thursday through Sunday, 10 to 5. And my first policy was to open those doors up and let people come in and watch and to understand. And people are amazed, like, wow, that's how you make a vase backwards, kind of. You know, you blow the bottom,
it's fascinating,
transfer it, and then you finish the top. You know,
yeah.
it's they're like, oh, I get it. You know, and they love to see. You know, the glass is always moving.
Right.
So you have to decide at one particular moment in time, okay, that's it. And you stop and let it get cold, and then it's done. But then you don't like it, you just reheat it, and you get it soft again, and then you can manipulate it. So it's really fun. It's never dull.
No, I'm sure.
It's always challenging, and just using the material is like magic sometimes, you know.
Now, do you continue to travel or learn? Is there such a thing as other techniques that are?
Oh, always. You know, I actually, a month ago, I just came back from Japan.
Okay.
I did several demonstrations there on the North Island of Hokkaido, in a little town called Sapporo.
And why Japan?
Well, my partner's from Japan.
Okay.
And
that's a good reason.
Yeah. I met him when I was in graduate school in California, where I went to 1 year for graduate school at California College of Arts and Crafts. And that was 1982, and we decided to build a studio together. 10 years later, we do it. In 92, I built the studio here with him, with his help. And it was 10 years of great, you know, friendship we developed. Every year we saw each other, and I went to Japan one time for 2 months, and I say 2 years. Worked in his studio for a while and ended up having like 3 one-man exhibitions. And he opened up his shop to me, and we became just really good friends. So I went and visited him and showed him some stuff that I learned here. And he's taught me so much anyway, but it was fun doing demos.
Right.
And
technique change, cultural exchange, all of
yeah,
that.
and their little town is called the Town of Glass. There are 11 glass blowers there.
Really?
And I'm from the town, you know, the glass
town.
Sandwich.
The glass town.
So I actually I met the mayor and the Chamber of Commerce, and we shook hands. And maybe I'm trying to set something up like a sister city between Otaru and Sandwich.
Wonderful.
Because of the history there.
Wonderful.
So,
that's just fantastic. We'll take one quick look. Let's take a quick look at your other sculpture.
Great.
And
thank you.
So, Michael, before we go, let's just take a quick look at your other piece, Hot House One, as we said.
Yeah.
And so, just quickly tell us about this piece of work.
Well, you know, I love this tread plate. It's just I love the rawness of steel, and I love working with steel.
Okay.
It reminds me much like clay in a way.
Really?
Believe it or not, you can weld it, you can cut it, you can bend it, heat it up, and it moves. You know, real malleable. And then I kind of, you know, designed this around. Oh, I think I've glued it down.
Yes, which is a good thing. I was going to tell our viewers, do not come and touch the sculpture.
But the back has like a little vent, and the hot house is like a glass studio.
Okay.
So I designed the piece, and this was like I got the name right off the bat, and I designed it, you know, right from the beginning. And this is a cast section, And then this is a welded steel
And this is a
top.
lip piece as well.
And this again, you just remove the top.
Easy.
And you can kind of see the vents in the back. So it's really industrial, like very factory-like, I thought.
Right.
I wanted to kind of illustrate it.
And that's fascinating, as you say, the pieces and the mediums you work with all have a similarity to them. Well, Michael, it's been such a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor.
Yes, well, thank you. And we encourage our viewers to come. The works will be on display here until September. Of course, you can see Michael at his studio on Route 6A in Sandwich on any given day. And that website, Michael, is?
It's a glassstudioncapecod.com.
Terrific.
And we're right in East Sandwich, right on 6A.
Right on 6A. So Michael Magyar, I'm Melissa Chartrand, wishing you an artful day.
Thank you.